Hello and welcome to the Golden Wheel Tavern. It's so good to see you all again. I know last time we were missing somebody absolutely vital. Neither of the Displacer Beasts were in here. And I'm sorry to tell you they aren't here today either. I know, it's heartbreaking. To make up for that, I brought back a common guest that everybody loves, the bartender.
Yo, what up?
Give it up for the bartender, everybody.
Yeah, give up.
Give up what?
I don't know, but give it up to me.
Okay, everybody, go give it up to the bartender. Keep in mind, probably not like that.
Unless by like that, you're thinking money.
True, money is an option. You could give the bartender money, but they will not be giving you a brew today.
I am going to give you a brew, actually. It just has no alcohol.
Oh, we're gonna get a virgin brew from the bartender.
Mm-hmm. The first time I made this, the tavern keep was absolutely flabbergasted.
I was amazed.
Shocked. In awe. So when you go to Ponchero's, non-sponsored, wild if we were, and you get a drink, you're gonna look at this machine that has the pop, and you're gonna put every fruit-flavored one in your cup in equal proportions. As equal as you can eyeball it, at least. And that's today's drink.
Yep. Go to, we'll be honest, anywhere that has Coke products. Don't go any place that has Pepsi products. Go any place that has Coke products and not a freestyle machine, because you're not going to be able to do this there.
Well, you can, but you might annoy some people.
And you would need a very large cup, probably.
Not if you're really good at just putting in, like, a splash of everything.
And choose essentially all the non-dark colored beverages. All the fruit ones. So Sprite, lemonade, High C, Fanta, whatever else they got. Mellow Yellow, Mountain Dew, all those, throw them all in there. That's the special. We won't tell you why I was flabbergasted. That's a story for another time.
Yeah.
Which means we will never talk about it on this podcast. But if you know, you know. And if you don't know, you're probably going to ask us in person if you see us in person.
Yeah. In which case we will consider telling you, but only if it's in person.
Mm-hmm. Now, we talked about giving us money.
I feel like if this podcast ever, gets a fan base, that will come to bite us in the ass.
What, every con we go to, we'll get asked, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll tell the story.
Yeah. I'm just saying that maybe we should think about things before we say them sometimes. Because while this minuscule thing may come to bite us in the ass later, one of these days, I'm gonna say something so stupid.
You're gonna be like, if you show up in person, I will give you
$1.
Or like an oatmeal raisin cookie or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would never curse someone with an oatmeal raisin cookie.
Sorry, I will give you an oatmeal craisin cookie.
Thank you.
I like oatmeal raisin cookies. Anyways, we mentioned giving the bartender money. Now you can do that, if you want, through the Patreon. We have discussed on previous episodes the Patreon. You can subscribe to it if you want. $5 or more gets you the Patreon cut, which is an extended cold intro, cold outro, all the bits and bobbles we cut out through the episode. So you get just a little bit more content. You get an exclusive role in the Discord. You want to join the Discord, there should be a link. Join the Discord. Hang out, possibly find other people interested in Dungeons & Dragons. The most important thing, though, is not supporting us financially, but supporting us socially. So, while you can support us through our Patreon, which we very much appreciate if you do, the thing you can do to help us the most is spread the word. Tell others about the podcast, as the bartender has done this very day. If you are a Patreon, you will be hearing more about that, or more cuts about that than the non-Patreons. Mm-hmm. But the most important thing is spreading the word, spreading the podcast. That is what will help us grow. That is what is most important to us. So go to our social medias on Twitter, Tumblr, TikTok, Mastodon, Blue Sky, and I think those are all the ones we post on regularly. We're not on Threads or Instagram. So
No one's on Threads.
No one's on Threads?
I don't know a single person who knows or cares about Threads. Why do you think they're pushing it so hard on Facebook?
Okay. So, we're not on Instagram, we're not on Threads, but also, I mean, I said we're on Mastodon. So, like, Would it be that surprising if we were on Threads?
Yes.
Or Blue Sky?
I don't know what Blue Sky is.
Exactly. That's my point. And we're on Blue Sky.
Yeah, but the thing is, people know what Threads is.
Uh-huh.
They just don't care.
Oh, okay. Anyways, we're not on Threads, we're not on Instagram, but like I said, TikTok, Tumblr, Twitter, Mastodon, Blue Sky. Follow us, share our posts there, interact with us, and boost us in the algorithm. Go to the YouTube channel, The Tavern Keeps Guide. Find us there, like the video, share the video, comment on the video, boost us in the algorithm. Getting more eyes on the podcast helps us more than subscribing on Patreon, although we very much do appreciate our patrons. That's enough shilling for today. On to our Tales from the Tavern's tables. School is now in session, baby! So, last time the bartender was with us, we were talking about Session 0 and starting a campaign. That was actually just before the Session 0 of the campaign that has just started. Jason Algernon's Arcane Academy. This is a campaign I am running based on an old NPC of mine. In fact, one of the players in our Saturday group was in the original campaign that character came from. Now, school is now in session. The students have arrived at the school, and the point is that they're going to be essentially world hopping while exploring a mega dungeon. They go partway down a mega dungeon, they go world hopping. They go partway down a mega dungeon, they come back, they go world hopping. They go further down the mega dungeon, they come back, they go world hopping to get a key. And it's so on and so forth, back and forth. The main touchstone I reference is Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass, where you go out into the world, you make so much progress, you go back to the dungeon. You go out to the world, you make so much progress, you go back to the dungeon. Start of the campaign. All of the players, I gave them their own, this is something that I like to do a lot as a DM. A lot of people, when they talk to me and they hear how much I know the rules, they assume I'm a very hands-on everything, I sculpt exactly as is type of DM. Something I like to do a lot is be like, okay player, how does this go? What's happening in this scenario? I like to offload a lot of my work onto the players.
Yeah, it's gonna become a real big problem for him when I start making it a problem for him.
Yeah, but I personally, in the Session 0, all of the players received some sort of ritual, and they made their way to the school. So, for each character's arrival at the school, I did a short one-on-one vignette with each of the characters, and each of the players had their one-on-one vignette, and essentially it was just improv their arrival at the school. They came up with their ritual. I worked through their interaction with the NPCs, and then they arrived at the school. And everybody, I think, really enjoyed their ability to sort of make up their own arrival, sort of craft their own world for just a second before they're brought to the school. And I think a lesson that can be taken away from that is that as a DM, you don't need to hold on to the reins super tightly. A lot of the times you can kind of just throw the ball to one of the players and have them take it for just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I will say Session 0 was a bit awkward because that was not a thing in our last campaign, so everyone was finding their flow.
Yeah. But everyone, I think, eventually found their place. I, of course, took, as we described in the Session 0 episode, lines, veils, wishes for everybody. I explained the X card, so we have the X card available. We have lines, veils, and wishes. I took down everybody's passive perception, which is useful information for me. Mm-hmm. I didn't, lower their passive perception. I wrote it down.
It's already pretty low.
The highest one's a 14, and that's the wizard.
Yeah.
So, but we did all the Session 0 stuff, and honestly, I think during Session 0, doing little vignettes before the party gets together is a really useful way to have the players express their character to the party so that the other players know, oh, this is how this character acts, and then the party comes together.
Yeah, I will say it made for a really great introduction to everyone's characters. And I think it's a fun little thing people could implement in their games.
Yeah. Speaking of things you can implement in your games,
house rules!
That's the Tavern's talking topic for today. House rules. We're plucking them from Reddit and discussing them.
Yeah. I have a Reddit thread pulled up on my laptop where people are talking about the best house rules they have used in their own games.
The best house rules, the biggest house rules.
Correct. And I will be just going through them, and the Tavern Keep here is going to tell me why they haven't read their Dungeon Master's Guide, or they're dumb and haven't read their Dungeon Master's Guide.
The format here is going to be, they read a rule, I will give my opinion on it, usually citing rules in the books, and then the bartender might try to come up with an argument as to why you should use the rule. If they can come up with an argument for the rule, we will give our final thoughts on it and move on from that rule.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so my first one is about a Nat 20 in initiative.
Okay.
A Nat 20 in initiative lets you pick your place in the initiative after hearing where your teammates go. Some want to go right before or after certain people. Really small, but satisfies people for rolling a Nat 20.
That's an interesting thing. The issue is going to be, of course, ties on Nat 20s. If the monsters roll a Nat 20, does the DM get to pick where they go? And it feels, honestly, like it is very much just they get this little bit of a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate it, but I see no reason to really implement it.
I'm pretty neutral on it, but that's because I've played Savage Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Savage Worlds, the initiative system in that
System.
You draw cards from a deck of playing cards, and, suits, I believe aces low, all the way up to king.
Mm-hmm.
But the Joker, if you draw the Joker, then you get to pick where you go in initiative.
A deck of playing cards.
What I can't remember is if that continues for the DM or not. I don't know. I think it's a fun little, celebrate the 20.
I mean, it probably won't cause any harm, so I have no good arguments either for or against it.
Yeah.
I mean, the main argument I would make is, if somebody's, super, built for initiative, they're a bard, spec chronology wizard, took the alert feat, and then somebody with a -1 dex rolls a nat 20 and says, I go first. That's gonna sting just a little if they have, a +13 to their initiative.
Yeah, but, they roll, if everyone agrees, hey, that's the rule we're playing with,
Yeah.
And typically teams, you've played Savage Worlds with me before. When someone gets the Joker, everyone discusses when it would be the best time for them to go.
Yeah.
So, it might sting a little bit, but, I don't think it's gonna, Because if you're building a character like that, then the rest of your party's probably going to acknowledge that it's best if you go first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't have any strong feelings on it.
Yeah.
I've heard worse house rules.
I have a feeling you will have strong opinions and feelings on this next one, though.
Oh?
Instead of using legendary actions just to do a thing, I telegraphed to players what is coming and told them that bosses fails against saves or contested skill checks between now and the boss's next turn would prevent a massive attack. So...
Oh, so they're doing the boss lifts up his sword and you see red area on the ground.
Yeah.
No, I don't like that.
I knew you wouldn't.
The whole point of legendary actions is provides additional action economy to a boss monster because boss creatures with legendary actions will typically be fought 5v1.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole point of legendary actions is it essentially turns this one monster into 3 monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And rebalances out the action economy in a way. Changing it into big charge-up attack is kind of what they tried to do for a little bit in 5e, and then people were like, hey, why are you taking away legendary actions from monsters? That helps balance the action economy. And then they just gave it back, rather than it just being big, heavy attacks over and over. Because then what it happens is all your boss monster can do is big attack on turn, big attack on turn, big attack on turn, rather than attack, oh, this person has done this legendary creature is immediately going to react.
Mm-hmm.
I think legendary actions allow for a more reactive boss fight on the boss monster's side and creates a lot more tense situation where suddenly the plan has changed. The boss monster has hit somebody after their turn and that player's down. Your cleric was planning on casting a different spell. Suddenly the entire plan has changed. Do they abandon their plan? Do they keep their plan?
It's not my favorite house rule. I will say the very specific example of when they used it, I'll be, okay, I guess. A very, very specific example is that the boss that their party was going up against had immunity to, like, stun effects, saving throws, and other stuff, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And from the way they're talking, their party, I guess, was heavily based around those.
Mm-hmm.
And so they wanted their party to feel like they weren't just getting all the stuff that they normally use taken away. But, like, if that's the case, choose a different boss.
Yeah, they're creating a house rule to solve a problem they created. Like, first of all, if your party is relying extremely on, like, stun effects, you don't you don't have them go up against a monster that's immune to stun effects. You make them go up against a monster that's either less affected or stronger resists stun effects, but not immune to it. Because then when they still pull off their strat, they still feel good about it. Either that, or you just have the beefiest, tankiest motherfucker, so that when they stun this thing over and over, it's not entirely fazed by it. Like, yes, it misses a turn, but if you ever let it not be stunned, poof.
Yeah. Not doing a really good job at fighting for these things.
No, you're not.
I do like the next one that I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
And that's the I know a guy rule.
Okay, interesting.
If your players are having a really hard time and they're stuck, most people rule this as you get it once per game, once per campaign total. But if your players are really stuck, they're allowed to say, hey, DM, I know a guy who can help with this. And they typically have to, like, make a good argument for, like, how they know this person and how this person can actually help with the problem they're having. But they know a guy. The Tavern Keep is currently scouring the...
No, I found exactly what I was looking for because I have a little tab that marks it.
I was trying to read which book you had.
DMG.
Okay, he was scouring the DMG on a page that he had marked.
Page 269 of your DMG, I'm going to make a counter-argument with one of the most interesting optional rules in the DMG.
Mm-hmm.
Plot points.
Mm-hmm.
Plot points. Each player starts with one plot point. During a session, a player can spend that point for one effect. The effect depends on your group's approach to this optional rule. 3 options are presented below. A player can spend more than one plot point per session, so it's limited per session. You can increase this limit if you like, especially if you want the players to drive more of the story. Once every player at the table has spent a plot point, they each gain 1 plot point. Option 1, what a twist. A player who spends a plot point gets to add some element to the setting or situation that the group, including you, must accept as true. For example, a player can spend a plot point and state that his or her character has found a secret door, an NPC appears, or a monster turns out to be a long-lost ally polymorphed into a horrid beast. A player who wants to spend a plot point in this way should take a minute to discuss his or her idea with everyone else at the table and get feedback before settling on a plot development.
I like story points, but I feel like this is a little bit different and a little bit more specific.
It's essentially limiting what you can use a plot point for and limiting how often you get plot points.
Yeah, which right now people get no plot points ever because people don't read that far. What page did you say that was on?
269. Sorry.
Nice. Can I see this book?
Yeah.
Typically people stop reading after page... definitely not that one. They are not looking that far. No. Where is it?
The table of contents?
9.
So I'm gonna counter argument here. They read at least this section here.
The magic item section.
The magic item section.
They don't read that section. They flip through it until they find the thing that they're looking for.
I will make the argument that if you're going to use a house rule that essentially gives the players the option to just throw something into the story, at least read through the options presented on page 269 for plot points.
Yeah, I feel like most tables aren't typically equipped, like the players aren't equipped to just start throwing shit at the DM, wild shit, as you saw with our session 0.
Yeah.
So I think just starting with I know a guy is your best bet, and then you can move on to more advanced options like story points.
Yeah. The argument I'm making against that rule right now is just essentially it's a powered down version of option 1, what a twist of plot points, but, if that's what you need, if you need training wheels at the start, yeah, throw on some training wheels. And then eventually, if your party enjoys that, think about running plot points. Option 1, what a twist. Or the option I want to use for something, but I have yet to have any idea where I feel like it wouldn't be a terrible experience. Option 3, the gods must be crazy. AKA, you can spend a plot point to be the DM. I kid you not.
If you get the right group together, and I think our Saturday group could potentially be the right group, it could be so much fun for like a one-shot.
Yeah. Anyways. Put the holy text aside.
This one, they don't really have a name for it, so I'm going to name it the Hand of God.
Okay.
I'll let you know. This rule specifically came about at this table because they are a teacher who teaches high schoolers to play D&D. And they got tired of being interrupted by their high schoolers.
Okay.
If you interrupt the DM gets to roll a D100 and you get a consequence based on that roll.
In-game punishment for out-of-game behavior.
If everyone at the table's cool with it.
I guess, sure. That one, I always rub against in-game punishment for out-of-game behavior. I think that's just, and it's understandable because they're teaching high schoolers.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Those sorts of rules come up when somebody is teaching a group of players who are a bit rowdy or whatnot. But, imagine if every time player asked a player name question.
So from the way they're describing it, it's not player asking a question. It's not a Harmony question. I'm just gonna call her out.
Okay.
It's the DM starting to describe a situation and then being like, cool, I'm going this way and doing this thing.
Oh, okay.
And they do say at first they would let them deal with the consequences of their actions, like walking off a ledge or an enemy getting a free hit on them since they got cut off before they could explain what was in front of them. But that didn't work. So now the Hand of God has reached down. Okay,
so that is very much they're taking in-game actions and you have a table of in-game consequences. It's okay, but that's really a group issue rather than anything. I feel like a decent group wouldn't need that rule at all.
Yeah. Okay. I'll bring up this one just because this one is also a mechanic in another system. But I don't think you've ever played that system with that mechanic added.
Okay.
Because this is also a mechanic. It's an optional mechanic in Savage Worlds. And that's plot twist cards.
Okay.
This person is talking about how for a while, for a campaign, they printed out plot twist cards and they would deal them out to players at the beginning of a session, and they would get to choose whether they wanted to keep that card, or keep the card they had previously, or switch it out. You could spend them at any time. My personal experience with plot twist cards made a DM have to throw away an entire dungeon they planned, and instead we got to fight a big old dinosaur.
I'm going to direct everyone to page 269 of the DMG. Either What a Twist, which we've already discussed, but this is once again another limited version where your twist is already determined for you. Or option 2, the plot thickens. Whenever a player spends a plot point, the player to his or her right must add a complication to the scene. For example, if the player who spends a plot point decides that her character has found a secret door, the player to the right might state that opening the door triggers a magical trap that teleports the party to another part of the dungeon. So, option 2 is player spends a plot point, gets to say a complication, or gets to say what they get. Player 2 gets to decide what the complication is. But I know it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same at all. Because to me, the plot twist cards feel like a resource.
Yeah.
And a gamble. Because every session you get your option, this new one.
Yeah.
Or the one you've been holding on to. Obviously, when you spend it, it's been spent, you don't get it back.
Yeah.
And it's going to create situations that may not have been originally thought of to begin with.
I'm just wondering if you're at a table, what kind of table do you need to be at where plot points is too much, but you still want everybody to have a chance to directly alter the situation?
The table I was at when I was playing Savage Worlds with my friends. Shout out my friends. So
is that just another, training wheel step? Are we going no plot points? I know a guy. Plot twist cards, plot points.
You can think of it that way if you want. I just feel like it's another resource.
So are plot points.
And plot points feel like they get a little bit too dungeon mastery, you know? Plot points feel like we're all the dungeon master now.
For one instance.
Yeah. This is less we're all the dungeon master now, and the dungeon master has given me the ability to escape this situation exactly once and also make everything worse.
Interesting. I don't think I would ever run that. Well, so I would have to have a campaign that's specifically like, you guys are set in a world where magic has gone mad itself. Because otherwise, how do I justify a T-Rex showing up in the middle of a dungeon?
The card did not say a T-Rex shows up. I will tell you the exact word on the card.
Right. It was get out of the situation, but you end up in a worse one.
Yes. We weren't in the dungeon yet. The dungeon was the prison and we were completely surrounded by guards.
But so I'm not talking about the very specifics of the situation you were in. I was just using that as an example.
The dungeon master had a reason why a T-Rex could show up. Did the dungeon master have to say, okay guys, we're gonna have to break for 10 to 15 minutes so I could figure this out what we're doing? Yeah. But sometimes your party does something stupid and you have to do that anyways.
Yeah, I'm just...
The other thing about them is they get about as much use as a magic item that isn't your character's main weapon.
Mm-hmm.
It is something you have on you forget about it most of the time, and maybe once or twice in a campaign someone will actually remember that they have one and it's actually really useful and applicable right now.
See, to me, that feels like plot points, but you are given beforehand what your plot point is.
I think you personally could make an argument for everything sounding like plot points.
I mean, if it's any sort of a player gets to change the situation of their own volition, then yeah. If the player gets to tell the DM what happens...
I feel like plot points are way more specific about it.
Like, that's why it says discuss with your party and whatnot beforehand. Like, discuss with the DM and that kind of stuff beforehand, how this situation works out.
Yeah. Plot twist cards are a lot more vague about it.
Yeah. Once again, I'm not saying they're the same thing. I'm saying they're like a different branch on the same tree.
If you want to think about it like that, I can't stop you.
Obviously, we just see these things very differently. Because I'm seeing it as player has option to fundamentally change the story using this resource they have. Either way, that is plot point or very specific term, you essentially get a limited wish.
Bestie, darling, Catherine Keep.
Yeah.
Player has option to dramatically change the story or fundamentally change the story in some way. To me is just how I picture a normal game of Dungeons and Dragons. What is the first rule of Dungeons and Dragons in planning a campaign? That it doesn't survive for the players.
I think we could spend all night discussing why we have this disconnect here, and we're just gonna move on from it.
Okay. I'm gonna give you 2, and I'm gonna be like, you might even grab your monster manual for these ones.
Oh, okay.
But they kind of feel like the same thing to me. This person house rules that cats and lions have 60 feet of dark vision, like tabaxis and tigers, and polar bears have cold resistance.
Do they not have those?
Exactly.
Honestly? The dark vision, I could see an argument against. I could see them having like 30 feet dark vision. Where? Ah, it's this one. Where's my bestiary? And then we're gonna search just cat. Yeah, no dark vision. And then we're gonna check lion. No dark vision. Although are lions nocturnal hunters? And then what was the other one? Tigers?
Polar bears.
No, they said something in tigers I think have dark vision. Tabaxi. Okay, tigers do have dark vision. But lions don't? Yeah, they don't. Okay. Interesting. Tigers make sense. It makes sense for lions not necessarily to have it because they hunt on open savanna and they hunt typically during the day. So I understand lions not having it. Cats I could see going either way. Tigers typically hunt in the forest, which is dim or low light, so I can see them having it. Polar bears not having cold resistance though.
Lions have fewer cones so see less color, but have great night vision.
Oh,
especially since their eyes also have a membrane that concentrates weak light to the back.
Right, they have the reticulum, I want to say it's called?
They have the cat thing.
Yeah, okay. So I would probably give that
if for some reason cats and lions are showing up in your campaign, give them dark vision.
Give them dark vision.
I think that's the rule here.
Polar bears having cold resistance, I'm not entirely sure about. Let me check something real quick. I want to see what kind of animals have cold resistance. Because, like, cold isn't just, like, cold damage isn't just, it is cold. It's like, it is instantly giving you frostbite. I'm seeing dragons, undead, fiends, constructs, fays, trolls. Are there any normal animals that have cold resistance? A beast. Fiendish giant spider, but that's because it has resistance to cold, fire, and lightning.
Maybe like mammoth?
Frost druid.
If that is in the...
Ice spider queen.
No, mammoth does not have cold resistance.
No, and from what I'm seeing, they really only give cold resistance to, like, supernatural things, like aberrations, undead, and, like, fiends that are inherently involved with, like, fire. Mm-hmm. Which makes sense, because, like I said, cold damage is not just, like, it's you instantly have frostbite, your flesh is being damaged by the cold. Polar bears can still get frostbite and still get hurt by that just as much as anyone else. The thing is you just have layers of fur. But, like, I don't know, you're hitting the polar bear directly on the nose, I guess.
I don't care. I just thought that those were some funny house rules.
I don't think it would change much if you added it, so I'm not like, how dare you add cold resistance to polar bears? I think you can add it if you want, but, like, I don't think it's necessary because, like I said, cold, like, make it so they don't have to suffer the effects of being in cold, like you would read in the Dungeon Master's Guide or probably Icewind Dale Rime of the Frost Maiden.
I'm gonna skip over potion as bonus action.
Uh-huh.
Everyone does that anyways.
That's the most common house rule.
Yeah.
Technically not, in the rules, but nobody cares.
Yeah. And so we're gonna go on to one that's in which is also a mechanic in a TTRPG, a 2 to 6 player TTRPG we've played.
Oh.
Cowboys with Big Hearts.
Oh, okay.
And this rule, people dub it as, like, the last stand, the final hurrah.
Oh, okay. It's the you can kill yourself to succeed.
Basically, the way they're doing it is if you're about to die, you can launch one final attack they do theirs with an improvement to damage sort of thing, like if you were to hit. But if you do it, you die.
What defines about to die?
I can, expand the thread. This person specifically says anytime you are required to make a death saving throw, you can choose a hero's end instead.
So you can choose to fail on your death saving throws and get just, like, one last turn in?
Yeah. And almost everybody ruling this that I've seen is saying when you get that last turn, because it is your last stand, you get, like, some kind of improvement to your damage. You get all your resources available with, say you're Battle Master Fighter and you're all out of maneuvers. You would get those back, you get advantage, you get all your things so that you can actually make one final epic attack and then you're dying.
I just don't know how that would work out. Because, like, what, you hit 0? Because it would have to be you have to make that decision the moment you hit 0, or else your character's unconscious, and then they just, like, wake up on their turn, stab the boss, and then die?
I mean, this isn't necessarily a choice that a person's going to make lightly.
Yeah.
That a player is going to make lightly.
Yeah.
So if they are making it, they're probably making it when they hit 0.
I'm going to direct everybody to 2 things that are in the same book. Xanathar's Guide, page 11 and page 31. Rage Beyond Death and Strength Before Death. I like these 2 abilities specifically. And it feels like this house rule is kind of like giving everybody a weaker version of it. Strength or Rage Beyond Death is the Zealot's Too Angry to Die ability. Mm-hmm. But then, once they hit 0, they're fucking dead. Because they've taken damage during their rage. And they still fail death save. Strength before death is the samurai move. Which is just fucking super cool.
It is. I love that samurai gets, I want my turn before I die first, though.
Starting at 18th level, your fighting spirit can delay the grasp of death. If you take damage that reduces you to 0 hit points and doesn't kill you outright, you can use your reaction to delay falling unconscious, and you can immediately take an extra turn, interrupting the current turn. While you have 0 hit points during that turn, taking damage causes death saving throw failures as normal, and 3 death saving throws can still kill you. When the extra turn ends, you fall unconscious if you still have 0 hit points. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. So, the BBEG smacks the fighter down to 0. Fighter goes, "Nah, DM, I get my turn now." Attack, attack, attack. Action surge, attack, attack, attack. Bonus action, second wind.
Yeah.
That one feels like you're giving the players a more explosive version of that. And if you're gonna have that,
I mean,
if you intend to use that anytime besides against the BBEG, I feel like you're gonna have to have Diamond Dust available. Or Diamonds in general.
I think the intent of that rule is there's no resurrecting the character.
There's no resurrecting the character.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the intent of that is if you use this, your character dies as dead. You can't bring them back. And it's probably only being used in campaigns that don't even reach, past level 15.
I think I would just, if I were to do that house rule, I would play it closer to either Rage Beyond Death or Strength Before Death. I would just make it a weaker version of that. Or I would just legitimately just give them Strength Before Death.
But you're not against it in total.
I'm not against the idea in total if you want to play that campaign where they have an opportunity to, before death, rally all their strength, their final strength, and make one final push. But I would probably run it closer to, Strength Beyond Death, and I would give an opportunity to revive, but, it would have to be, a true resurrection or something.
Yeah.
I would have it be that your body is destroyed in the process.
Yeah. I think true resurrection's fair, because that costs, 25k.
And it's a 9th level spell slot.
Yeah.
I think you can true res them, true res or wish res them, and it works like Strength Beyond Death, where you don't get necessarily all of your stuff back all of a sudden, but you do just get to, hold on and fight. Just take an extra turn right then and there, and probably, you have advantage on your attacks.
I don't know how long we've been talking.
We can keep going. I'll trim out anything I find unnecessary.
Okay.
Because I'm having fun.
I am too. This next one, I'm not gonna try and argue for it.
Okay.
You get 3 death save failures per long rest.
Right, this one. Just run Gritty Realism or something. Just run something that long rests take a while. And short rests take a full day. Because there's short rest takes 8 hours, long rest takes a week rule. Gritty Realism, I believe, is what it's called in the DMG. I think the 3 death saving throws per day can lead to really unclimactic moments where somebody's knocked to 0 and then their turn just so they're on their last death saving throw of the day and they happen to get knocked to 0 in a fight against a goblin and then they're just dead all of a sudden.
Speaking of gritty realism, this person's house rules that you don't get a long rest every night.
Yeah, that's you can't take a long rest if you're in a dungeon or the wilderness. And it's their cop-out for proper balancing in D&D being 5 to 8 encounters per adventuring day. And they're okay, the way I balance that is if you're traveling through the woods, you can't take a long rest. And it's no, you give them the long rests, have them fight monsters in dungeons more often, and if you want to run it like that, just run Gritty Realism.
Yeah.
Make it be so short rests are an 8-hour rest. Make it so if they are in a town where they can regularly sleep in a normal bed, run normal rules while they're adventuring Gritty Realism rules.
I can vibe with that.
Oh, wait, I should probably, as I've been doing with rules, say which page of the DMG it's on. It's going to be right before plot twists, I believe. Or it's supposed to be? Is it right after?
Don't ask me! You think I read that
Where
book?
is it? Bear, where is it?
You think I've read a book?
Yes.
I have stated on this podcast before, and I will state it again right now.
We
don't read books!
No, we have stated on this podcast that reading your rules book is fine.
Well, that's your rules book. I don't own a DMG.
Pretty sure you do, yar har har.
That's not owning, that's sharing.
Oh, okay. Wait, where is it in here? Now I can't find it. Oh no, they took it out of my DMG while I wasn't looking. Oh, it's right there.
I did. Oh, damn it. You found it.
Page 267 of your DMG. Rest variance, gritty realism. Short rest of 8 hours, long rest of 7 days. There you go.
Okay. I really like this next one.
Oh.
Because it reminds me of a specific bit you and I have.
Okay.
So when I first say it, you're going to be like, no, that's bad, that's stupid. And when I explain further, you're going to be like, oh.
Okay.
Okay. Right? Nat 20s and Nat 1s on skill checks give permanent advantage and permanent disadvantage, respectively.
No, what does that even mean?
So, like, they even have an example written here. Drake Warden Ranger rolled an athletics check to attempt to climb down a cliff that another PC had scaled and hammered pittance to.
Uh-huh.
Rolled a nat 20.
Yeah.
Permanent advantage on that skill check. See, I can see by your face, you're like, I don't that's a bad rule.
Yeah, like, so now he gets permanent advantage to scale cliff faces, or scale cliff faces that pittance driven into them?
It's permanent, she, by the way.
Oh, sorry, she.
Now has permanent advantage on climbing down Pittons underground while not sufficiently supported by Pumpernickel her Drake.
Oh, okay. So it's highly specific.
It's the, don't you dare fucking read that rules book while sitting in that chair at 8:21 p.m. at night on a Sunday.
In July.
In July, on the 21st. Ever again.
While you're reading Reddit.
While I'm reading Reddit to you.
Yeah.
And a machine is recording us. Ever again.
Yeah. You know what? I will allow for the silly bit of if you get a nat 20 on a skill check. I'm not running this, but I'm fine with it. As long as you make it just the most specific possible. Like, in my example, the Drake Warden Ranger, she would have advantage on climbing cliff faces that have pittance driven into them. While in a dungeon, while not supported by her guard Drake, while her teammates are at the top of the cliff face. Assuming her teammates were at the top of the cliff face. So that if her teammates are at the bottom, no advantage.
It just says that another PC had scaled.
Yeah, so that PC has to have scaled that cliff face beforehand.
Yeah, so.
Make it unbelievably convolutedly complicated, because then it's just a bit, and who cares? I don't care about mechanical bits. Well, I care about mechanical bits. I don't care about bits that provide no mechanical benefit or disadvantage. Very funny if you do concoct a situation where the permanent disadvantage comes into play, though.
Yeah. This person says, my goat house rule is never, under any circumstances, create an unnecessary house rule.
I have to disagree with that house rule. That's the worst house rule.
Because we just agreed that house rule we talked about before was pretty cool.
It was okay. No, honestly, this is a decent house rule. Just, like, you can have house rules, just don't create 37 billion different house rules that end up you make the 2024 edition of Dungeons & Dragons.
Oh man, you're gonna love this person's house rule.
You can cast your spells through your familiar if your familiar is a frog and he's in water. You can... I'm just gonna come up with piles of fucking house rules. Anyways.
This person has a bulleted list.
Bulleted list?
Yeah, there's, this many, 6.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just telling me 3 twice. Because you would do that sort of thing. Anyways.
So their first house rule in this list of house rules is gritty realism.
That's not a house rule! That's an optional rule in your DMG on page 264. Oh, give me a second.
69?
No, 69 was plot points. Damn, I was wrong. It's 267. Anyways, that's just a rule on 267.
And then the rest of them are just bad.
Oh?
Free feat at 1st and 7th level of DM's choice.
So the DM gets to choose the feat you get at 1st and 7th level?
Yeah. Free skill proficiency and expertise in another skill of DM's choice at 5th level.
No! Let the players choose!
GWM is not a feat. It's just something anyone on any weapon you can do on any weapon you can two-hand.
Oh god, they're making weapon masteries for 2024 5th edition an actual rule.
Heavy weapons reroll 1s on damage die.
That's just the two-handed fighting.
Long-range teleports and long-range flying spells do not exist.
So they ban the entire types of spells, and then they force their players to take certain feats and skills?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Rangers can
fuck right off. They're the worst class.
Get natural explorer terrain by spending a week of downtime in said terrain.
That one's fine, whatever. Rangers can have whatever they want. They need it.
Yeah.
There were a couple we talked about before we started recording that you haven't mentioned yet, and I'm surprised.
Because I'm just going as I see them as I scroll down, and I don't know if I saw them a second time. We can talk about them.
No, if you want to talk about them, we can.
That would require me to, 1, remember them, and 2, find them again.
One of them was the potions bonus action full heal, action give to someone else, which they were using in place of a healer.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one, oh god, it was something else that there was just like a rule for it, and they were just like describing a rule that exists. I've already forgotten it. Oh well.
Here's one we talked about before.
Oh.
Being downed and brought back to above 0 HP gives you a level of exhaustion.
Right, the prevent the healing whack-a-mole situation. No, I just outright say no to that one. I think it's fine for your healer to keep popping up the player that keeps getting knocked down, because every turn your healer's doing that, they're spending either their bonus action in a spell slot or their action in a spell slot trying to get this person back up. You're just making them spend more resources, and if there's a gap between the player that's getting knocked down and the cleric, during that time, you can stomp on their head to make sure that they're dead, and then have the BBEG counter a healing spell.
Only if you're mean.
So, yeah, have the BBEG counter a healing spell.
Rolling the exact AC on a hit makes it a glancing blow, having the damage. Halving. Cutting the damage in half.
Yeah. No, I don't like that. I feel like that's a weird thing to like have to keep track of. I think part of what makes 5e excel is how simple it is, and like being like, oh, you missed by 1, so this happens, you hit exactly, this happens, you crit, this happens, you rolled an ab 1, so you drop your sword and it shatters into a billion pieces. That is a house rule I very much do not like. I have to talk about that house rule even if it doesn't show up. I do not like fumble tables. That is if you roll an ab 1 in combat, something bad happens to you.
Mm-hmm. I think it's only acceptable to have something bad happen to someone who rolled a nat 1 if it's funny and doesn't really change much mechanically.
The reason I don't like it, especially in combat, is it punishes martial characters. Because they're going to be making multiple attack rolls a turn. So they're going to be rolling the d20 more. A wizard can go an entire combat not rolling a single attack roll. They can go Toll the Dead, Toll the Dead, Toll the Dead, Shield, Toll the Dead, Shield, Misty Step, Toll the Dead. And that's their entire combat loop, and no attack rolls were rolled, versus the fighter goes attack, that's a nat 1. Oh, I dropped my sword. Okay, I'll pull my dagger. Next turn, attack, that's a nat 1. Oh, my dagger's broken. Now I need to pick up my sword and spend my next turn re-equipping my sword. Oh, it's a nat 1. I don't like fumble tables. Don't use fumble tables. Your player feels bad enough rolling an nat 1.
Here's the last one I'm gonna bring up.
Yep.
Because I work in the morning.
Yep, that's fair. No, I was about to say we should probably start wrapping up.
I don't like it.
Okay, go ahead.
To generate ability scores, roll 3d6 in order. Those are your ability scores. Strength is the first one you rolled, then Dex.
3d6 in order, yep. Classic.
I also enforce a 20-minute character creation time limit.
That is a grognard who wants to throw his party through a peasant funnel. You know what? I like that one. I'm running it next campaign. You hear that, players?
We're ousting you.
Next one shot.
We're ousting you. You're never allowed to run a one-shot or campaign again.
Oh, okay. Damn. Guess I'll just run that other system. No, don't have your players roll 3d6 in order. This isn't Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. It's D&D 5th edition. And when it comes to house rules, final wrap up, run the house rules to make your game more fun and more interesting to the players. Right. I don't run many house rules, but that's because I know of all the optional rules, and if I want something interesting and unique in my rules, I'll just flip to the Dungeon Master's Workshop and throw in healing surges.
I hope you didn't rig this card.
I did. Anyways.
Because instead of handing me the stack, you handed me a card.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I specifically went through the stack and put that card on top. You copped me. But, quiz! supposed to harmonize with me.
That's Harmony's job.
No, they're not here. You're the backup. Anyways, go on.
What are the 3 types of possible components used in spellcasting? Abbreviated as VSM.
Wow, I can't believe they even gave you the abbreviations. This is like baby's first Dungeons and Dragons questions. It's Verily, Forsooth, and Milady. Verbal somatic material.
I'm not entirely sure you didn't rig this card with how easy the questions on it are.
Oh, okay.
What Midwestern town was TSR, the original publisher of D&D, headquartered in?
Geneva, Illinois. Is it not Illinois? Well, it's in Geneva.
Lake Geneva.
Yeah, Lake
Wisconsin.
Geneva. Wisconsin, okay.
Kenku, a type of feathered humanoid, are capable of flight. True or false?
They wish they were. That's one of their dreams. They seek flight because the flight was taken away from them in their curse. And now they want what they cannot have, which is both creativity and flight. Stick? Stick?
I swear to God, you rigged this card.
Stick?
On most D&D dungeon maps, which letter of the alphabet is used to represent a secret door?
I wonder what letter could represent a secret door. Secret. It's S.
Yeah, that's all I can give away for free.
4 out of 4, baby!
I know that this card is gonna be 6 out of 6. You fucking rigged this. You searched that entire fucking pile for the easiest card.
I did not. But hey, if you want to hear those 2 bonus questions, go to the Patreon. If you want to really support us, spread the social media. It's just that easy. It's quick, it's easy, it's free. Pouring river water in your socks.
Okay, Tumblr user.
I'm not really that much of a Tumblr user.
It's Tumblr post.
Yeah, I know, but it goes across all 4 of the websites.
Everything goes across all 4 of the websites. I'm still gonna call you a Tumblr user. You have a Tumblr for this podcast.
Okay, but I don't like your shoelaces.
I'm not wearing any.
Yeah.
And I don't like my shoelaces either.
Anyways, thank you so very much for listening. We appreciate every single one of you. And as always, make sure to tip the barmaids.